So the one thing, we've been doing this for this is the third year we're doing this. So some of you first time coming here might be wondering, like, why are we doing this? Why secrets? The whole idea is, right, the big names out there like Teladoc, Amwell, MD Live, right? They've been doing this for a number of years, and they're really exciting. These are all, multi-billion-dollar corporations. And there's sort of tons of hype around telehealth, but the actual impact of telehealth on the practical level still being relatively limited in there, right? There's still like a lot of stuff that could be improved. People are still struggling. So we basically set our conference ideas, okay, this is not like American Telemedicine Association. This is not a HIMSS. It's not about like the big grand vision. This is about down to the small details, right? You have your idea. You want to implement this. How do you actually make it work? Again, for anyone who actually tried to do telehealth, they know it's actually much more difficult than whatever the people perceive. That's the first reason we want to do a telehealth. Now, why this conference? So over the past 10 years, there were about 10-year-old company. So I've been just personally fortunate to learn from a lot of people in the audience. So internally, we talk about these who are called lighthouse partners. People we work with, they just give us a lighthouse or where we need to go. And I've been personally just amazed, able to learn from them to help our thinking there. So I've been very grateful. I consider these people my personal mentors, like many of you here, all the interaction there. So this is a way for us to bring all the people together. And then the really big idea is the idea of 1 + 1 + 1 = 11. So the whole idea is often is to do big projects. You actually need synergy between a couple of different almost different pieces of the puzzle. You put them together and you could do something really, really big in there. So again, a lot of the people in the audience are very entrepreneurial. There's a lot of great ideas in there. So historically, we use this event to cook up new ideas, and you're going to see some really interesting insight out of there. And then why is a subtopic, why revenue models and happy doctors? When people think about telemedicine, the most frequent question we get asked is, like, how do I get reimbursed, the fee for service, all the. So we think, okay, it's important, it's nice to know, like all these in there. But we actually think the most interesting thing is about how using telehealth to create new business models, right? About creating new businesses, new things that you might not even think about this. Again, there's a lot of really interesting ideas, tons of companies we have worked with over the past 10 years. So this is why I want to think. Now, why happy doctors? So the strongest piece that we've been working on is this American Doc, our physician group. Now it's about 4,000 virtual physicians in there. And one of the things is doctors these days are not that happy in the traditional healthcare system. We think that we actually could have a way to make doctors much happier, and that will translate into a big impact on the entire healthcare system. So that's why one of the themes, like, we have a lot of bias to our doctors and making them happy. Can you go to the next slide? So from a year ago, I just want to share about, like, in the last 12 months, something I'm personally really, really get excited about is there's some mega forces coming together. So for us as a company, a lot of the partners we work with, so our big vision is, how do you reduce the cost of healthcare by more than 50%? I actually think it's an achievable goal in there. And now why do we get excited? Now, first thing, there's forces like the Samsung, Apple Watch, Fitbit. Now they could detect diseases, from AFib and a bunch of really interesting things in there. So you have now all of a sudden all sort of people walking around, they didn't know they have these disease out of it. Like, now what in there? Like, now, the next thing is, what we get excited is about medical service price transparency. We have a really interesting speaker in this conference talk about how you crowdfund through crowdsource price to make it transparent there. So now there's one of the forces coming in there. And then what telehealth allow you to do is allow you to load balance across this whole system in there. And it allow you to feed these new set of patients into the top performers in the system, which is very exciting. So without telehealth, you cannot achieve there. Then the next thing we will need is for the top performers in there, right? They don't want to be flooded with these patients come in. They might not be a bad fit for them. So the whole idea is if you're adding some human plus some AI, machine learning, not as a way to replace doctor and nurses, but as a way to help them improve their productivity. So we work with a lot of physicians, think about how do we increase their physician productivity by 10x, right, using some of the enhancement. And then the last thing is so we have a vision of paying physicians like baseball players. What I mean by this, they should have, today, right, the physicians are pretty much in the band, whether you're great physicians, whether you're mediocre physician, your pay and it's about the same range in there. We think about the great physician, they should able to pay 10x what an average physician is, right? You want it down to all the details, for example, almost just like the batting average on the Tuesday morning, if they're doing an operation, what is their success rate, all these statistics come in. Then we think when you glue all these forces together, you could do something very transformative in there. And again, so thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to having to spend the next 2.5 days with us. Again, we actually a little bit biased. We think we have the best speakers at any conference. We're starting with opening speaker. You're going to set the tone for amazing conference. I think you're going to love her. And then people in the audience member, we have really selected these audience members who we think they're just amazing game changers. People who actually come in, who can transform how they think. In fact, tomorrow night for the dinner, we have a set of game-changing awards. They're going to give us a couple of words for the people we thought is really, really transformative. And then the last thing is, we've been doing this conference for a couple of years, and every couple of weeks I interview thought leaders. We actually now have this following. So we essentially have roughly about 10,000 following people who watch this video. By the way, all these videos will be recorded in there. So whatever happens here, we actually can influence the army of 10,000 people, healthcare people who are able to influence change. Again, it's really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here.